But this is the spot for the first vegetable garden spot here. And we'll probably do a little raised garden here that we actually use soil for. But this area right here is where somebody dropped a tree and didn't clean up the brush. And there's a lot of things growing in there. I went through with a grass whip and just cut everything down and dropped it right there. And now I'm going to take some of the saplings that are around, cut those up and drop them right there. And then we're going to cut the sod out from the garden where we're going to put regular soil, like store-bought soil and compost. We're going to take that and flip it over and put it over here to put some dirt on top of that, and then we'll put wood chips on top of that once we get the wood chipper. But that's the project that I'm setting out to do right now. This is the spot. That's a nice little field too. Maybe we'll do some vegetables or corn or something in there eventually. It's right off of the road. Get supplies in. Oh, the wind's blowing. That's probably all you can hear. Alright, good morning everybody. Welcome back. 100 Acre Plantation Off-Grid Project. This is episode 3. And behind me is the space that we've picked out for basically the wild garden. The only stuff we're going to put in this garden is going to be material we gather from the property. This spot already was a place where someone had felled a tree and all the dead branches were left behind, and they've been rotting here for who knows how many years. So I think it's going to make a nice place for a little garden bed, kind of a hugelkultur type bed. But what we did is we cut up all kinds of really thin branches from the gray birch trees that are around us here. We laid those down, and now I'm going through with a metal rake and just raking up all the dead grass that was from last year, making big piles of it. And then we're going to take that grass and we're going to lay it down in here. And then after that's done, the square right next to it where we're going to put a compost garden, we're going to dig up all the sod from there, which the sod is a sand layer, an organic layer of stuff that's just been breaking down over the years, and then the grass that's on top. So we'll take squares of the sod out and then flip it upside down so the grass is facing down. And that way it should kill all the grass before it comes up as weeds. So that's my mission today. It's day 15, beginning of the 3rd week out here, and hopefully today the excavator guy is going to come to start the driveway, but I'm not sure. It's going to rain the next 2 days, so he might try to put it off until next week, but I'm hoping he's going to come today. But my mission for today is get this covered in grass that I collect from around the property, and then start cutting out the sod and putting it on. And once the sod is on, we're going to put wood chips on it after that as a final layer, and then plant into that. And this garden should be good for potatoes and squash and stuff like that. So I'm going to get to work. Alright, so I'm just collecting grass from all over the property, raking it up with a metal rake, and whenever I find a pile of moose nuggets, I'm putting that in the grass too, and collecting those from around the property because that'll make good fertilizer. Sometimes I see rabbit turds too, little rabbit pellets. Those are pretty hot, but for a garden like this, we're going to need any fertilizer we can get because it's all natural. So I'm gathering those too. So moose nuggets and rabbit pellets and lots of grass, and then we'll go to cutting out the sod. I got about 6 more loads of grass to collect, which you gotta rake it all up first and then bring it here. So I'm gonna get to that, and then I'll bring you guys back when we're cutting out sod squares. Alright, so that's how I collect in the grass. Get little piles of it, put it all along the roadway, and then I'll come through with the sled and scoop it up. Alright, here we are at a little moose nugget pile. Get the shovel. We pretty much got all the grass that we need over there. I might do one more big load. But coming to get this, these moose nuggets, and go around the property and find them. But underneath these moose nuggets is like really nice stuff, and I've even been seeing a lot of worms in there, which kind of hard to find worms in this sandier soil because it's pretty sandy out here. So these moose nuggets definitely have a lot of good stuff going on in them. So I'm gonna go and collect these. I'm probably gonna go out into the woods because I don't want to collect all the nugget piles up here around camp. So when my nieces and nephews and stuff come around and other hunters, they'll just see, I want them to see the nuggets, you know. If you take them all off of the highland here, people aren't gonna see them until they head out into the woods. So I want the kids to be able to find the nugget piles. So I'm gonna go out into the woods for the next hour and just try to fill this a couple times. And then once I got all the moose nuggets put together, I'll put that down on the grass, and then we'll be ready to cut out the sod. Little sod chunks. Yeah, this moose nuggets are good stuff. The moose is a vegetarian. It's basically the cow of the forest. So this should work as pretty good manure. Oh, there's a worm right there, squirming around. That's how good this manure is right here. See that little sucker? That's a worm that's been feasting on these moose nuggets. So actually I'll throw that in the bin too and throw that over in the garden. We need that guy. Alright, the wind's blowing, but I got all the grass that I need on this thing, and we scattered all the moose nuggets and rabbit pellets all throughout it. I'm gonna just stop, have a little break, eat some pistachios and some highly processed jerky product. And then I'll bring you guys over and show you what I mean by sod chunks, cut out sod chunks. We'll cut out the first one and lay it down, and then I'll go at it. Alright, here we are on the corner of the garden. Cutting up the first sod square. Alright, you see that? Grass on top, bunch of organic stuff, and then sand on the bottom. I think I see a couple worms too, so this stuff should be pretty good. And then we take it over here and flip it upside down. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, you can see that. So I'm just gonna go and do the whole line of the garden and this whole square. Cut this whole square out, and then this square here will be a 6-inch bed basically dug out of this one, and we'll fill this with compost and wood chips and do like just a regular organic garden next to the wild natural garden. But this is gonna take me all day, so I'll bring you back when all of this square is cut out and all of the sod is upside down on the wild garden. Wish me luck here. Alright, now we're like a third of the way through the whole process, and hopefully you guys are getting what I'm talking about now. We're kind of killing two birds with one stone, and we're gonna have this whole garden dug out and ready for like store or farm bought compost and stuff like that. We got a nice thick layer there, and then after we get this all laid out, we'll let it get rained on a couple times to kind of flatten it down. And then we'll cover the whole thing in either more hay, more grass hay, or wood chips. But I'm not sure when I'm going to be able to get the wood chipper out here. I have plenty of stuff to chip up. I have piles of stuff collected now that I need to chip up. But I got to figure out where I'm getting a wood chipper from. I don't know. If I buy one, it's like $700 to $1,000, and that won't even be that big. And if I rent one, it's like $200 a day, but then I could probably do everything that I need to at once in one day. So I don't know, we'll check it out. I should probably rent something and just get it all done real quick. So there we go. Garden is underway. Take a water break and then try to finish this up. Yeah, and over on this side too, I mean, we might just build a natural fence around both of these gardens, but definitely this garden in the next couple days I'm going to build a natural fence. I'll cut down poles of the silver birch that I have out here, and we'll drive them in every couple feet, and then we'll just weave all these trees that we've been taking down and piling up. We'll just weave that all through the fence and make, like, I think it's called a weeble fence, or I don't know. I think it's called a weeble fence, but someone can correct me in the comments down below if they know what it's actually called. But it's just a natural fence, and that'll keep the bunnies out, and if we make it high enough, it'll keep the deer out for a while, but you know, at some point they might get in there. But this is just going to be potatoes and squashes and pumpkins and stuff like that this year, so I think we'll probably be okay with just a short fence. The rabbits are the ones that are going to be the problem, so we'll just make it big enough that the rabbits can't get over it easily. Well, the wind is blowing. That's probably all you guys can hear. My buddy Brett always tells me to put up string lines, which I didn't, and my square isn't very square. When he sees this, he's going to be like, oh my gosh. Oh, the wind is blowing. I wonder if that's all you guys can hear, is the wind blowing. I guess I should put on the microphone, and it has like a little fluffy thing. It will cut out the wind, and it's probably better to hear a light buzzing from the microphone than there is to hear crackling wind all the time. That stuff's horrible. Alright, well, I'll get back to this. So as you can see, there's tons of dead wood in the dirt as I'm digging it up. That's why we picked this spot, because it had looked like someone had felled a tree here and then just left all the debris. But that right there is a real debris pile, and it's essentially just a hugelkultur pile. And all of these brambles are growing in it. And those are likely blackberries, but we'll see in August exactly what they are. But that's why I picked this spot. It gets really good sun, and it's easy access. And the ground should be better than just sand, because it has all this material that's been breaking down here for a long time. 8 years since the cut, so all this stuff has been breaking down for 8 years. It's exciting to see what those brambles will be, though. I mean, I don't know if it's bramble, blackberry, or raspberry. Kind of looks like there's two different things, so hopefully it's blackberry and raspberry. Just trucking along. Alright, almost done with the garden. It's getting close out there. I have one more row of sod to put up, or pull up and then flip over. And then that'll be ready for wood chips or grass. Grass is a pain in the butt to gather. It's a lot easier if I had like a riding lawnmower with a sack or something on it. But I gotta figure out this wood chip thing anyways, because I have piles of trees stacking up all over the place. I really gotta get chipped up, and I need the wood chips, so I gotta figure that out. Even if I have to pay one of the guys around here to go rent it and bring it over to me with their truck, then that's what I have to do. I gotta figure that out. This week I'm gonna figure that out. Next couple days I'm gonna figure that out. But for right now, I have to go and gather more firewood. Still have a lot of maple that I gathered the other day, but it's gonna rain the next 2 days, and it's gonna be between 35 and 42 degrees the whole time, so it's gonna be pretty miserable, rainy 2 days. I want to make sure I have enough firewood at camp to run the stove as much as I want to. So it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon, day 15. I'm gonna go and collect wood for 2 hours. About 2 sleds full of wood I think would give me enough. because I already have about 2 sledfuls in here. So hopefully I find some good wood. I'm cutting up this piece of tree here for firewood, but look at this. This is almost, well, this is like probably 30 feet up in the tree. It looks like it's a piece of corn. There's something stuck in there. I have to pull it out and see. It is a piece of corn. I'm not sure where the closest cornfield is. I think a couple miles down the road there's a guy who has a cornfield in his yard. A feed plot or something. That's pretty interesting. Must have been like a woodpecker or something storing it there. And then the tree died. That's crazy. Well, this project's almost done here. Or at least almost this step is almost done. You can see how much higher that is. It's like a raised garden. I still got one more row I gotta do, but I just went and collected camp wood and got camp water, and the sun is going down in the background. And I'm hungry, so I'm gonna wrap up for work for the day and I'm gonna make some food. But that's the gist of it. You can see it's quite a bed now, but that'll all flatten out over this next year as all that stuff breaks down underneath it. And we're gonna load some wood chips or more grass on it, but hopefully wood chips. I'm gonna try to figure that out this week. And in that spot I gotta get a truckload of compost for and some wood chips, and that'll be a great little garden spot too. Over the next couple days we'll put this natural fence up, and man, we'll be in business. Be growing food before you know it. Hanging out by the garden watching the sunset. But I just saw what looked like a marten run across the driveway here. I heard something coming through the bush, and then a black weasel type animal went by. It was pretty big though. It seemed bigger than a marten, but it was probably just a really big marten. That's pretty cool. I don't know, I guess it could have been a badger. It was pretty big for a marten. Or maybe it was a minx. I don't know how big a minx get. I think minks are a little bit bigger, so it might have been that. I don't know. It didn't look as bulky as a badger usually does, but maybe it was a small badger. It could have been an adolescent or a teen badger for sure. And there's a hole over there that kind of looks like a badger hole. So that it could be that actually. Either that or it's a minx or a marten. I don't know. I didn't get a good enough look at it, but it was pretty cool. More wildlife out here. Alright, early morning, day 16. Boiling water for a flower shower. Got that water boiling so we can clean the dishes that we neglected last night. And then, I don't know what, after it is raining. And the weather thing says that it might even turn to snow at some point. Doesn't feel that cold outside, but I guess by like 4 o'clock in the afternoon it's going to drop down to about 35 degrees. And it says that it might snow. I don't know, but it's going to rain pretty much all day today and rain most of tomorrow. And it actually says it's going to rain most of the next week and a half, which is what happens in Maine, but I really need to get the road done, and the guy's not going to come until it's been dry for a couple of days, so it's really setting me back on the cabin thing. You know, I don't mind being in the canvas tent, because once you have the stove in here and firewood, it's not that bad at all, but I really want to just get this cabin stuff done so I can have the place situated. You know, once the cabin's here, I can start building. I need to put a floor in the cabin still. I need to build a hearth for the fireplace. I need to insulate that at some point. And I just want to get set up, you know, in a permanent home. And I love the canvas tent, but it's been, I don't know, 4 years that I've been in the canvas tent. when I'm in Maine, I've been in the canvas tent, so it'd be nice to have a cabin in Maine finally and get it all situated, and then I can really feel like this place is home. Plus, once I have the driveway done, I'll feel better about coming and going. You know, every time it rains, I get stuck on the driveway, or I have a high likelihood that I'll get stuck on the driveway. So I just want to get all this work done, especially since I want to have family up too. I want to have people up here to camp, and I can't have them up with all their nice new fancy cars these people all have. I can't have them up until the road is done and until I have a safe place for them to park for the night. So I'm just getting anxious and getting ready. But day 16 out here, things are going great. There's some breaks in the weather here and there. We're going to go collect wood. Every time there's a break in the weather, we'll collect more wood just to make sure we have enough wood for the next 2 days during this rainy, crappy weather. But I'll get back to you later. I'm going to do these dishes, and then I'm going to take a flower shower outside and freshen up. Be nice to take a shower. It's been like 4 days. So, yeah, that's what I'm doing this morning. Day 16. We'll go check on the garden, too, after it rains for a little while and see how that's settling down. Well, day 16, there's a break in the rain. I don't think the rain's really even started for the day, but I did finish this last night at sunset. I came out here to watch the sunset because I actually get great sunsets considering we're out in the woods. Usually you can't see much of the sunset, but since this highland is kind of higher than all the trees, I can see the sunset. But I came out here and took that last row out and flipped it over and got this garden all finished. This thing's just ready for wood chips now. I think wood chips is the better bet, but it's gonna rain the next couple days, so this should settle down and flatten out. It's pretty high right now. It's probably about 10 inches thick, but once it flattens out, it'll probably only be about 6 inches. And this thing's gonna be good. I can get some plants. We can get some potatoes and some squash out of this for sure this year. And hopefully I can figure out someone who will deliver me a truckload of compost within a reasonable date too. Hopefully not too far out. But I am having a hard time finding wood chips. That nobody around here has wood chips because anything like that is bought up by the paper companies and turned into pulp. And that's, you know, nobody uses wood chips for anything but pulp up here because this is like a lumber area. So I have to make the wood chips myself, so I'm gonna have to get a wood chipper out here. I have plenty of overgrow here to make wood chips out of, but I have to get that here. And then compost too. I mean, I just haven't met any farmers yet, so once I meet some farmers, I'll be able to get some fertilizer from them and some manure from them, and hopefully some compost from them. But I'm out taking a walk, looking for some extra firewood here and there, and just seeing if there's any animals out and about in the rain. Oh, there's a blue jay, but alright, I'll bring you guys back if I see anything cool. Out and about, it's just raining lightly. I love this spot right here. This little like meadow. But I was just looking at the trees and thinking, man, the next 2 weeks it's gonna change down here a lot. Everything's gonna grow back and it's gonna look crazy. This guy is not scared of me at all anymore. He's just eating, munching down as usual. That's all he's ever doing when I see him, eating. He's a cool little bunny. He runs around camp. The other night he ran around camp and I thought it was like something bigger, and I was like trying to figure out what was going on, and it's just him. Cool little guy. Living the life. I don't know. I never see him come out of a hole. He's always just sleeping during the day, like under a tree. Just like balled up under a tree. I never see him go in a hole. So I don't know if he lives in a hole. He must not. I don't know. Cool little guy. There's actually 2 of them now. He ran out of the woods like they were gonna fight or something, but now they're both just eating. That's all these rabbits do. Yeah, that other one's not scared either. This one's really not scared. This one's the one that's around camp like all the time. He lives right here at camp. Keep munching down. Get nice and plump for winter. Little weirdos. Out in the rain too. It's like they don't care. They're just chilling in the rain, eating. Rabbit action. They just do this all day. Seems like that's all they do. Munch. Well, about 10 o'clock in the morning, day 17, just rained, non-stop rain yesterday. So I didn't do very much, didn't get very much done. Probably didn't film very much. But it's still raining today. It's a little bit lighter. And I never ended up taking a shower yesterday, so I took that this morning, warmed up the water. The problem is when you got to boil the water the first time so there's no creatures in it, and then you have to wait for it to cool down. And yesterday I was waiting for it to cool down, and I let it cool down too much, and it was just cold, and it was cold outside, so I didn't want to take a cold shower. So I took one of those this morning, feel great. It's still raining like I said, but I'm hoping that it's going to be light enough that I can get some work done. Today I need to go around the property and just cut down any of the saplings that need to come down. Like there's a couple more trails I need to clear and another campsite that I need to clear. So I'm going to get that all cleared today, because in the next 2 or 3 days we're going to have leaves on all the trees, and they're a lot harder to deal with when there's leaves on them. And then I'm going to make some calls and try to get this wood chipper. I don't know when I'm going to be able to get it, but I'm going to make some calls and see when and if I can get it. So that's what I'm up to today. Day 17, feeling pretty good. Pretty pumped, even though it's been raining the last 2 days and it's supposed to be clear for a couple days after this. Should be able to get a lot of work done. Gonna build that fence around the garden. And if I can't come up with wood chips quickly, then I'm gonna just start collecting grass again, and then we'll put grass on that garden for now, because we need to get stuff planted in that garden. It's May 16th right now, or May 15th. It might be May 15th right now, actually. Yeah, it's the 15th, and it's the beginning of growing season, so I need to get stuff out in those beds. Get the potatoes in there, I need to get the squash in there, and then we need to get a little patch together for some lettuce and salad making stuff, so I can start eating a little bit healthier, because my stomach's been pretty messed up just eating all this dried canned food. It's just not working out. So I had to get on this gardening and get that going, and then later this week I also need to go to the grocery store and fill the cooler up with ice and put a couple days worth of salad making stuff in there. At some point here, I gotta do that. Going to town isn't easy though. My car is not running well. It hasn't been running well ever since I got back from California, and it's just going downhill slowly, so I'm trying not to use it, only when I need to and only in emergencies. Also, the road is still pretty messed up, so every time I go to leave and come back, I take a chance of getting stuck on the driveway. So, I try to get what I can get done today, and tomorrow we'll hear from the excavator guy, and hopefully he's going to say that it's dry enough and that he's up for coming out here and doing the work, because I need to get it done, because I want to get this cabin out here. I want to get the cabin out here by day 30 and moved into the cabin by day 30. 30 days in the canvas tent will probably be enough for me this year. And I'm excited to finally have a cabin. You know, it's all these years on these properties just camping in the canvas tent. I'm ready to get in the cabin. So day 17, I'll bring you guys out if I see any cool animals or if anything interesting is happening. Alright, I've been clearing trails all day, but that's that hole we looked at a couple weeks ago, and there was all kinds of leaves in there and no mud on top of the leaves, so it looked like nothing had been in there. But now it's kind of dug out, and I think either the badger or whatever that weasel animal was that I saw the other day, it was all black. So I don't know, badger I think has some white on it, and I think a badger's a little bulkier than that, so I don't know. I think it's either a minx or it's pretty big for a marten. I don't think it can be a marten, so it's got to be a large minx, I think. But I think that's who is living back in this hole. This has got to be a summer spot. Pretty nice spot, actually. Looks like a lot of ferns comes up here, so he can probably travel under the ferns without being seen by hawks and other birds. But I'm clearing a trail down into the wood lot from here, so hopefully we'll be able to take a sled from the wood lot right up to the cabin eventually on this trail. I'm trying to cut it out before the leaves come in. Alright, just working out here, so see you guys later. Alright, this is where the trail drops down into the wood lot. Man, look at this, all these flowers. Look at these things. Ooh, trying to hide from the rain right now. Spring flowers. Can't remember what these are called. They're nice ones though. They kind of look like sweet potatoes, kind of. Yep, just hacking away all day. Out here chopping firewood, day 17, but look at them. Fiddleheads are coming up. Tons of them out here. There's a guy that'll pay $2 a pound apparently down in Springfield. But I don't know, I'm not really that focused on stuff like that this year. Next year though, we'll be ready. This wood lot looks like there's a lot more dead wood than there is. It's mostly just rotted wood and living wood. But we're gonna keep on hunting for firewood. Oh, got my fishing pole in hand. About an hour and a half left of light. I'm gonna go across the street to the lot that the person I bought this lot off of owns. It was the other half of this lot. This lot was 200 acres split by the road. So I'm gonna go down there, try to get some fishing in. The old man at town hall told me that over behind the driveway on that lot is a good fishing hole. So I'm gonna go check it out. All right, morning of day 17. Still cloudy, but beautiful compared to the last 2 days. And it's not supposed to rain that much. It's gonna stay cloudy and kind of cold, but should be a pretty good day. I've got my work belt on. I'm gonna go and fix some of the signs that we posted before. I didn't put enough nails in them to keep them from flapping around. They scaring off animals and driving me crazy when I'm around them. So I'm gonna fix those, and then I'm gonna go and post the line that's on the road all the way to the brook, because there's already been a lot of people out here. Caught a bunch of hippies out here looking for fiddleheads and just people out here that are messing with resources on the property. So it sucks to post your whole property, but I'm gonna post most of it because, you know, for years I've been kicked off of land for hunting because it's private, and I finally have 100 acres of my own to hunt, and I don't want to show up at my hunting spots and have someone already there every single time I go out, which it looks like that's going to be the case at this property because it's easy access and everything. And it's right next to the wildlife management area, so a lot of people are coming over onto my property from the wildlife management area and maybe not realizing that they've left the wildlife management area. So properties that I plan on having hunting stands and hunting blinds, I am going to post. And also we're going to grab the fishing pole and head out into the woods. Right behind camp, fixing the no trespassing signs. And look at this. It's a bunch of hair that got stuck in this broken branch. Deer hair. It looks like to me. It's hollow. Well, after about 9 days of healing, or maybe it's only been 8, I had to pull the dead skin that was on here off because it definitely all died back and there's a big chunk of nail. But it wasn't quite as deep as I thought it was. Healed up pretty quick. But I just pulled a chunk of skin off that was covering it, the flap that I had put on it. Well, I'm gonna clean it up real good right now and then hit it with alcohol one more time. And then put some more liquid Band-Aid on it for a couple days. It's gonna be sore if I hit it on anything, so the liquid Band-Aid will just make a hard casing over it. Not that bad though. Could have been a lot worse. Well, back from my little hike and posting property a little bit more. Look at those. Some flapjack cornbread muffins. Little cornbread package there. Frying up. Trying to figure out what I'm going to eat with it. I don't know, maybe some corned beef hash, I guess. It's pretty much all I got. Out fishing, but this is across the street, and this land is owned by the people who I bought my property from. So I'm going to talk to them about if they're looking to sell this. But this is just beautiful, like giant eastern hemlocks and firs all up along the river, and I mean along the brook, and the brook is like moving really fast and it's shallow. Perfect fly fishing. But this is when it gets choppy. The bridge is coming up, and there's a lot of trees down, and it's mostly from the cut. When they came through here and cut everything, they cut too much, and the maples grew back and the elders grew back, and that messes up the whole river, and it messes up the land too. You know, and then the beavers come in and mess it up even further. But you really need these tall pine trees out here to keep the banks together and to keep it from getting all muddy and gross, you know. The pine needles stack up differently than the leaves. I don't know how to explain it, but that's why the river doesn't look nearly as cool on my side of the river, because they cut all the way to the river. Over here, they left a lot of the evergreens at the river, so that makes a big difference. Makes it look a lot more wild and a lot more native. I've seen a couple nests recently. Oh man. 2 robin eggs. Better not touch that. Let those hatch. I don't know where Mom's at because she's not here yelling at me. So must be away looking for grub. Well, 5 o'clock at night, no fish. Got firewood though. Gotta cut this up, get ready. Chopping up wood. So 2 things that, I mean, kind of suck but are kind of awesome at the same time. Well, at least the first one is the train. Between 7 and 9 o'clock every night a train comes by. In the distance, it's actually on the other side of the river. It runs the whole length of the river, so it's really open there too, so that's why you can hear it pretty good. I like the train. So like you hear it chugging for like a half an hour, and then the horn goes off finally. It like climaxes so much, and I've always liked the train. I like being near train tracks too, because train tracks are like direct paths to places and a supply line, you know, all kinds of reasons why I like trains. But the camping spot on this property is still really close to the road. You can hear the road. We don't get a lot of traffic, but the traffic we do get are like logging trucks, so you can hear them pass on the road, which in a canvas tent, you know, it's pretty loud because you can hear everything in a canvas tent. So I don't know. Can't get away from the road though. Further you are away from the road, less likely it is you're gonna have good access during the winter and, you know, 4 seasons, which is what I wanted. I wanted 100 acres with good access for 4 seasons. And that's why the cabin's gonna go down by the road, because at least this year I want to be able to come up here all winter. So if the cabin's by the road, it'll be easy to shovel out or get somebody to plow. you know, so on. Alright, I'm chopping wood. Get back to it. Trains in the distance going through. Early morning, day 18. I can hear through the woods the neighbors are working on equipment. Well, I'm going to clear some trees that are on the driveway that need to be taken out before he comes to do the work. He's probably not going to come for another couple days, but that right there is a greenhouse in a box. So once I finish taking care of the road here, I'm gonna get to putting that greenhouse together, as it's May 17th and it's finally starting to warm up. It's not freezing at night anymore, so get the greenhouse set up, get some soil in there, and we're gonna start all the starts. Probably keep the starts in there for about a month, and then we'll move them out to the garden. Build this fence too. We're gonna build this fence around the garden over the next 2 days. So the fence and the greenhouse, that's what we got the next couple days to get going. All right, here's the greenhouse in a box. I'm gonna open this thing up, and it's a metal frame. You build the frame first and you just leave out a couple pieces, and then you put the cover on it and then string the cover through those couple pieces and then get it together. But I'm gonna open this up and then I'm gonna put the frame together, and I'll bring you guys back for a look before we put the top on it. This thing definitely comes in many different pieces, and lots of little nuts that you gotta screw onto little bolts. So this is gonna take a minute. Well, just grabbing the necessary tools, and this thing is pretty crazy, but I think I got it all figured out, so should be up pretty quick here. And quick, I mean a couple hours. Well, I'm about an hour and a half in, or hour and 15 minutes. So it's quite a lengthy process, but it's going along smoothly. All the pieces look like they're here, so maybe I'll finish it. If the rain holds off, I'll finish it before evening tonight. If not, then finish it tomorrow, but should have the frame up tonight. Well, there's the basic frame. It's definitely not the most even flat space for it, but it'll do for now for seed starts, and it's pretty big for seed starts. But after seed starts are done, we'll keep tomatoes and microgreens and other things that do well in the greenhouse and don't do so well outdoors. Pretty excited. There's still some cross members that go on the bottom here, but you don't put those on until you get the top on, because they weave through the top to keep it down. So yeah, it's about 4:30 in the afternoon. I could still work on this for a couple hours, but I still got to get camp water. Have plenty of firewood, but the skies are turning pretty fast too. It's probably going to start raining here soon, so I should probably at least go get camp water, and then maybe I'll work on this a little bit more. Rabbits are going crazy this morning. They're chasing each other around in circles. Don't touch the blueberries. There's 2 more over there. Sound like a moose or something running through here, but it was just 3 bunnies chasing each other. Or rabbits. Here they come. Here they come. Coming down the line. Uh-oh. He's like, what the hell? Like, what is that? He's just getting you run in for the day. Little weirdos. Well, morning, day 19. Gotta finish the greenhouse up, and neighbor's supposed to stop by today. He's coming into town. I want to meet him. He's the closest neighbor to me. So I'm gonna get to working on the greenhouse, and I gotta rake out the driveway. Now that we're finished cutting that whole thing, I gotta rake all the extra branches out and get them out of the way. Man, these rabbits are just going crazy. Oh, he's off like a rocket. Well, haven't gotten to the greenhouse yet, but there was a big pile of brush here, and I'm right at the end of it now. Just waiting for the neighbor. I saw the neighbor. He went by already, but I don't know. I don't know when he's gonna come around, so I'm just hanging out here in the front, burning some brush, waiting for him to show up, so that way I'm not cutting wood or doing something out in the woods when he comes and honks at the driveway. So hopefully he shows up soon so we can chat. I can find out what's going on over there. They're doing all kinds of heavy equipment work over there. He has a clear cut on his property. Hopefully he's not clear cutting the 26 acres right next to me, because he just acquired that. Hopefully he's not, but if he is, nothing I can do about it, you know. So yeah, that's what I'm doing. See y'all later. Eventually I'll get to the greenhouse and finish that. Alright, so this pile is pretty much done. Still have that pile to go, but that's gonna have to happen some other rainy day. Sun's out now, but we're not gonna burn all this down to ash. We're gonna keep this all charcoal. It's a pretty big pile. It's probably 2 5-gallon buckets full, but I'll put that out with water now, and then we're gonna take that and bring that up to the garden and put that in the garden. It'll do wonderful things in the garden. So, got a watering can, a 5-gallon bucket, and put this all out so it doesn't spread anywhere. And the wind's starting to pick up and the sun's out, so it's a good time to finish this up. Well, there's the first bucket on the bed. Got to add a little more soil to this side. It's a little low now that it's rained and settled. Add a little soil here, but we got about a bucket and a half left. And then over the next couple days, as we're burning the brush pile over there, we're only burning like leafy twigs, and there's a bunch of vines, and then just small sticks. Anything that's not going to go into the wood chipper, we're burning. And it will all end up here. And then over the next couple days after we're done with that, either cover it in grass or wood chips. We'll see what happens. Hopefully wood chips. Last bucket got delayed, but the gentleman that runs town hall here, his name's Jim, 85 years old. He's been working the woods around here since the 40s, basically. He grew up around here. So he just stopped and chatted, talked about all kinds of stuff. It's nice to have someone to talk to every once in a while, so it's cool when he stops by, and he knows just everything about the area. So any questions I have, he can answer. And 85 years old, he's got a lot of great stories, talking about his trip to Alaska back in the day and all kinds of stuff. So, but now it's getting late in the day. I got to bring the rest of the stuff up to camp, get a drink, and get some camp water, and I don't know, maybe work on the greenhouse a little bit, but it's going to be getting dark soon. You see this thing? It basically looks like a bee. There's a lot of these on the property. This one got stuck in the tent. Try to get it out without killing it, but these live in little holes. When I originally showed up here, I saw these little holes and I thought that I must have had a crazy ant problem. But all of these bees live in these holes, and the holes are in colonies. There's a bunch of holes together, but it appears only one bee lives in each hole. I don't know, they're really weird. I'll show you the holes in a minute here. I'll go out and show you one of the holes, but I've never seen a ground bee before. And looking at it real close, I don't see a stinger on it. So it might be a stingless bee, so that might be why they live in a hole. But I was wondering, if you dig up the hole, is there honey under there? Is there honey in the ground? I don't know. I have to read some stuff about this. I'll look it up on the internet tonight if I can get some service, and I gotta read some stuff on this because I don't know what that thing is. It looks like a bee, but maybe it isn't. A ground bee. I've never heard of a ground bee before. Alright, so I said it was day 19 today. Hopefully I didn't skip a day somewhere, because I was originally counting day 1 as day 1, but now it doesn't look like that, because if it's day 19 right now, that would mean we didn't count day 1 as day 1, which I guess day one we were driving up here and setting up, so I don't know if we want to count that as day one, but I was originally counting that as day one, and if that is day one, then it's actually day 20 right now, and I've been saying day 19 the whole time, but yesterday I said day 18, so I don't know. Let's just not count day one as day one. We'll count day two as day one. That doesn't sound like it makes any sense, but you understand. Day two was actually the first full day, so we'll just go with that time schedule. I don't know. We might be missing a day here somewhere where I went back a day. I don't know. You guys can tell me in the comments if you figured it out, but yeah, it's day 19 or day 20, something like that, but I gotta go down to the river and collect some water. Well, it's 6:30 in the morning on day 21. It's supposed to rain all day today, and I was planning on working on the greenhouse and collecting firewood, but the neighbors showed up yesterday, and it appears that his camp road is parallel to the line, so he's like right on the line, but I can hear them camping like really close to where I'm set up right now. So I was thinking it'd probably be nice if I move camp, so give them some privacy and give myself some space. But that's the only spot that's on the property that's flat and good for a canvas tent, so I don't know. I'm looking at some other spots, trying to find a place. It's gonna rain all day, so this is like a really crappy day to be moving camp. I wish the cabin was here. But no matter how far you move up north, you're definitely gonna always have neighbors. So next property I buy is gonna be 1,000 acres. I'll put a house right in the middle of it. But that's what I'm doing today. I'm looking at some spots. This is a pretty nice spot right here. It's by the garden. It's a pretty nice spot, but it's really not flat anywhere. There isn't a flat space big enough for a canvas tent at least. But I'm gonna look in a couple other spots and then start breaking everything down and moving it. See you guys later. Well, it's still day 21. As you can hear, it's raining. I don't know. I don't think I'm gonna move camp today. I don't know how long the neighbor's staying. The guy doing work on this road said he's only gonna be here for a little while, but I don't know. I don't know why he didn't come visit me yesterday, but I'm trying not to stress out about it. His campsite though has to be like, I don't know, not even 100 meters away. It's probably like 200 feet away. But it's raining really hard today. It's not a good day to move. I'm gonna just consolidate everything and pack what I can up into the car and keep it in the car. And then once the weather clears, try to find a better place for the canvas tent, I guess. But there's no flat places, so my plan was to build a couple platforms, but I haven't gotten down to the mill yet and put an order in with them. So tomorrow morning I might have to drive down to the mill and see if they'll deliver some wood tomorrow. And I can build a platform somewhere and move the tent under that. Gonna have to do something. Figures the neighbor's so close. I didn't realize his camp road must go right along this line, and the highland on my property only runs along this line. So it's not like I can move in on the 100 acres because it's all wetland down there. So I don't know. See what happens. Kind of bums me out. Trying to get out here so I can be by myself and be out in the woods, but no matter where you go, there's always people. You're gonna have to move out into the sticks in Alaska. It's the only way. Oh yeah, it's the end of week 3 too, so tomorrow will be week 4, and today will be the end of episode 3. So It's gonna rain all day, so probably not much gonna happen. Alright, so apparently the neighbor has already left, which is good for now. He's from Connecticut, and I didn't get a hold of him, but the guy who's doing work for him I talked to today, and he said he left early in the morning. So I don't know, I guess he tried coming over here and finding me yesterday. I heard him through the woods, but I didn't hear him yelling my name or anything. But maybe he was. I mean, I heard him talking, so maybe he was yelling actually. But I don't know. It's been stressing me out the whole night though. I get stressed out by neighbors, you know. That's why I moved way out here, is so I wouldn't have to deal with neighbors. But in all fairness, I'm pretty close to his line, and his road runs apparently pretty close to the line. So we're either going to be close to each other, or one of us has got to kind of move away from another, you know. I have another spot where if I get the platform material, I'm going to put the canvas tent, and it's quite a bit further away from the line. It's not like super far away from the line. Because the 6 or 7 acres of highland I have is right on the line. So I can't get any further than that. That's all the highland I have. Like, everything else is not buildable. This is the only buildable lot I have. It's because it's like 80-something acres of hunting land and marshlands and beaver dams and all the wildlife that we wanted on the property, but we only got like 10 acres of high buildable land. That's fine with me, because I want to keep my land wild, and I want animals out here, and I want to explore and see animals. And you know, if my camp's way over here and all the animals over there, they'll keep going through there. They won't stop going through there. If you put your house right in the middle, you're gonna eventually the animals aren't gonna come by because they'll know you're there all the time. But anyways, we're gonna keep the tent here for a couple more days, and once the sun comes out, we'll get the wood here for the platform, and then we'll move the tent so when he comes back next weekend, I won't be so close to his camp setup. Gotta be friendly with the neighbors, you know. You gotta give and take, you know. It's got to be compromise on both sides. That's how it works when you have neighbors and when you own land. It's wet and rainy. Got the car down by camp right now. Oh, those blueberries. That's all blueberries. Look at it. It's blowing up. It's blowing up. Blueberries got leaves on them. Oh, yeah. So I'm out here in the rain, and I just wanted to mention something. See that little white pine there? Well, I had to cut back some of these branches just to free up the blueberries a little bit more so they get a little more sunshine. But all these white pines that I have growing amongst the birch, amongst this gray birch, all of these things are not doing so great. But the reason why they're not doing so great, and the reason why a lot of the blueberries have pushed back, is because this soil is really alkaline. Are more alkaline than the forest usually is, and it's because these birch have been growing here and the grass has been growing here and making the compost essentially for the tree is all been these alkaline plants. And it's supposed to be needles from spruce and from Doug and from white pine. I mean, not Doug fir, we have balsam fir here. So this guy is kind of struggling right now, but what I'm going to do is like push back some of this grass around it, and then those branches I just cut off from those white pines, we'll process that down, you know, make it into like mulch basically, and we'll put a layer of that around that tree, and that'll help a lot. I have a white pine right there too that I had to cut down at some point, a big branch. So I'll take all the needles off of that too, and all the needles off of that, and I can collect needles underneath the trees too, and then put needles around the base of all the white pines I have, because that's a tree that you really want to grow back up, because that's one of the trees that helps sustain this kind of a forest properly. So that's what I'm going to do. Over the next couple weeks, I'll gather needles and I'll compost or put like a layer of basically needle mulch around each of the pine trees. The spruce and the fir don't have as much of a problem. They don't need as much acidity, but the white pine needs more of those needles. So if I take the needles and put them under it, all those trees should recover and then eventually start making their own needles. We'll see, but that's one of my plans. That's one of the ways I'm rehabilitating the white pine population here on the property. Well, it is raining pretty good, but all the stuff for the greenhouse is already out and in the rain, so like that stuff's not going to get affected anymore. Anyways, yeah, so it's already out in the rain, but I guess I'll work on this for a little while. Right now we put the end walls on, and then after we put the end walls on, we put the top over it, and then we put the metal poles through it, weaving the top onto the frame. I'll bring you guys back when it's all done. All right, that's actually the anchor system right there. So I got to square this thing up. Just make sure it's 10 feet across all the way around. And then on the four corners, you put those anchors in, and you use this and a piece of wire to secure it to the thing. But we're gonna drive stakes along all three of these middle posts, and I mean big stakes, like entire trees. Like a tree like that, we'll just put a point on it, flatten the top off, and use the post pounder. A post pounder will pound it all the way in really deep, and kind of at an angle, really deep. And then we'll twist tie, or we'll use a zip tie, a couple zip ties, and zip tie this frame to the stakes we put in the ground. And then it can get as windy as it's gonna get, and it shouldn't go anywhere. Oh, there it is. Actually looks pretty good. That thing went pretty deep down. I have pretty good ground for that. Every time I've seen this set up, nobody was using those because it was like in the desert where the ground was too hard for those, so people would just drive a T-post down in the ground and then strap it to that. But there it is. Looks pretty good. We're still going to do some anchors in the middle of our own, but these will be pretty good. Well, those are wild strawberries right there. And there's a lot of them throughout the property. At first I thought they might have been poison ivy, or the beginning of a poison ivy vine, but they're not. They're definitely strawberries. I see flowers coming up on them. The only issue is that is what I see the bunnies eating the most of, or the rabbits eating the most of. So that's pretty cool. Strawberries, blackberries, and blueberries already on the property. So if I just establish all of those things, I should have some permaculture berries at least every year. As long as the bunnies don't get them. Maybe we'll transplant some of these wild strawberries into a fenced-in area, so we can like cultivate them and see how well they do when we're like adding stuff to them and taking care of them, and then if the bunnies eat all of them, they at least won't get to those ones. Still raining. It's raining, but I'm almost done anchoring this thing down, and I'll put one more side on, and then we'll put the top on. Well, it started raining too hard to sit out there and work. Pretty close though. Probably only like a half an hour left and that thing will be put together. So as soon as the rain calms down, I'll get at that. But the fire is still going, so it's nice and warm in here. I'm gonna dry off. And I guess I'll get a pot of rice going and maybe eat some rice, beans, and I don't know, maybe rice and beans and diced tomatoes or something. I'll look through the cans and see what I got. Nice, found a can of corn. I just put that right on top of the rice. Cover that up and leave it for about 25 minutes, and then found these organic cherry tomatoes. I don't usually get those. I must have just grabbed them because I was coming out here. So I'm going to saute these up, and then when this stuff is done, mix them both together and put some Parmesan cheese on it. Yeah, Parmesan cheese is a staple. And a must-have for you canvas tenors. It's just a little piece of paracord and then a hook, an S hook. This little S thing, I don't know what it's called. It's an S hook, I guess. But grab one of those, you hang it up there. That's pretty close to the fire, but not too close. And every time you come in, you just hang your jackets there. Hang rain jacket, military rain jacket underneath it, and then put the main jacket over it. Heat of the fire will have that dried in about 20 minutes. Can't beat it. Place to hang your jacket and get it dry all at the same time. Canvas tent life, 2019. That's what I'm talking about. Woo, yeah! Rice is bubbling up from underneath. Give that a little more simmer time Be time to munch down. Looks pretty good. Not bad. Little Parmesan cheese would be pretty good. I usually don't get those cherry tomatoes, but they look pretty nice and taste pretty delicious. Alright. Well, we only have one step left on that greenhouse, and then she'll be done. The rain's let up. But I got the sled in tow and the buck saw. I had to go head out in the woods and get some firewood before it gets too late here. Definitely gonna need some tonight and tomorrow morning, so I want to get that put together and get that chopped up, and then I should be able to finish this greenhouse project before the end of the day. It's just raining all day, you know. Spring in Maine. You can't see her, but right in there is the nest, and the mother robin is sitting on the eggs. So that should be good in a couple of weeks. Alright, there it is. 10 by 20 shelter logic. Just put the last bolt in. 10 by 20 is pretty big. Definitely enough room for seed starts and doing whatever you want to do in the greenhouse during the summer. Still got these poles left. They just go along this edge on the outside to weight it down. You can roll up these sides up to that point to let air in. Roll these windows down to let hot air out. Window on both sides, zipper door. This leg's pointing out a little bit. I might have to take that anchor up and then replant the anchor because it's not, this thing's not completely square. This leg's off a little bit. But yeah, 10 by 20 shelter logic. Shelter logic tent. Oh man. Sorry guys, there's like a hair. You guys can't even see it. But there's a hair stuck on the lens. Anyways, 10 by 20 shelter logic. They're $350, free shipping with Prime on Amazon. It is the cheap and best way to get yourself in a greenhouse. It's a woven plastic which has like about 25 to 30% sun diffusion. So it eliminates all the harsh stuff and lets all the good stuff in. This greenhouse is the easiest, cheapest way to go if you want to start doing some greenhouse work. Well, that's the end of Sunday. It's 6:30 at night. The sun's going to be going down. That's the end of day 21 as well. And also the end of week 3, which means the end of episode 3. So thank you for joining me. Make sure you rate, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you tomorrow on Monday morning at the beginning of episode 4. Things are going pretty slow out here so far, though. It's just been raining so much that I haven't had the dozer in. I was hoping the dozer was going to come in during week 2 and week 3. And then the cabin would come on the end of week 3 or 4. But now we're at the end of week 3 and the dozer hasn't even come. So he says on Tuesday he should be able to come 2 more days and finish the road work, dump off all the gravel. We should have a driveway by the end of next week, and then the cabin will come and be delivered. So getting excited, getting pumped. We're gonna work on the fence around the hugelculture garden that we have going, and let me think of what else. I don't know, maybe dig out that spring, but I still need to get a bucket in an area. I need to get all the stuff to catch the water once it comes out of the spring. So it's like a PVC hose, a PVC pipe, dropping the water out of the spring into a bucket that has a cover on it so animals can't get on it. But we'll look at that later and talk about that later. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for sticking around this long. And hopefully the episode wasn't too long. Hopefully I get some sun for the solar tomorrow so we can upload these videos and edit everything. Alright, Uncle Dave, DEECEE Adventures. See you in the next one. Man, this place is so beautiful though. Man, these trees around camp are beautiful. Like, I have so many different carnivorous evergreen type trees right around camp. It's making me pumped. And I've got the vehicle at camp. That last property, all 3 years or 4 years, however long I've owned that, I think it's 4 years now, I haven't been able to drive the car up to camp. So Definitely feeling blessed out here. I got everything I need. Soon there'll be a cabin. It'll be sweet. Well, everybody enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Or, well, hopefully you enjoy the rest of your Sunday. I'm sure that it's not going to be a Sunday when this is posted, but